Succession is great, one of those rare shows that has barely put a foot wrong since its premiere back in 2018. It's another HBO banger. They're pretty consistent at making those these days. The show follows the Roy family battling to see who will succeed their father in becoming CEO of their global media company Waystar Royco. Now in its fourth and final season, spoiler alert, the decision to find a successor has become fast-tracked after the death of the Roy's father Logan. An absolute critical success, Succession stands out from the TV landscape in a lot of ways. So let's talk about what TV can learn from Succession, other than getting a theme song that slaps so hard that it makes me making a smoothie look epic. And whilst you're here, my name is Aidan Green. Please do consider subscribing because I like to talk about movies and TV, and I've made a few of these what TV can learn from sort of videos, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more or any of my past content. So let's start talking about what I think is the most important thing about Succession, and that is its structure. The climax of Succession has been right in front of our eyes from the early days. Logan's death was the only way for Succession, often referred to as Suck, to conclude. It's clear that creator Jesse Armstrong, who you may know from British classics like Peep Show and The Thick of It,
Little pigs,
had a clear structure outlined from the very beginning. Season 1 is Kendall-centered, with him starting closest to Logan and the clear front-runner for CEO, giving him a lesson on what the job would take. But of course, he stuffed it after attempting the hostile takeover and, killing a guy. Season 2 then puts Sister Shiv in the hot seat. Don't know why I referred to her as sister, that makes her sound like a nun. In the season, Shiv is actively referred to as the future CEO. Not for long, but it's part of Logan's plan, which you never really get an understanding of if it's a real plan or if he's gonna backstab Shiv as part of another planception. Of course, when Shiv falls short by doing Shiv things, Roman becomes Logan's apprentice in season 3, and remarkably, he learns to do a really good job at it, until an unflattering message gets sent to a disturbed dad. That is, we've all been there. Have we? I don't, maybe.
Are you a sicko?
You can see that Roman begins to enjoy becoming Logan 2.0, even coming back to him after Logan betrays the kids in season 3. Well, in season 4, Logan bloody carks it. My boy is dead.
This is my boy!
The king has fallen, so what a fitting and dramatic way to spend the final season testing these three characters as they compete to be the new king or queen. Even now in the back half of the season, it's still not clear who will end up on top. This structure, giving each character a season to shine before pitting them against each other in the final run, is genius storytelling from Armstrong. It's important for future showrunners to look at the shape of a show from day one. They don't need to decide specific character moments and storylines, but outlining the basic look at which season focuses on what character will drastically elevate the story of any show's climactic season. Rich people are bad, for a reason. A common trait in TV and film over the last few years has been the rich people are bad narrative. I think this allows for a lot of humour, with Succession showcasing that. We see how far removed from reality they are, often not at all understanding the basic things that people of a lower class have to deal with. It allows for some hilarious scenes that almost feel like they aren't being played for laughs. It's the straight-faced performances that highlight genuine naivety from these characters. Despite how out of touch these characters can feel, it's Armstrong's writing, backed up once again by these genuine performances, that makes you still find a place to sympathise with them. From a rare sibling hug to an office breakdown, Armstrong gives us a peek behind the curtain, zooming in on the characters' insecurities usually reserved only for behind closed doors. As an audience, we begin to find small areas which we can relate to, or at the very least, sympathise with. In Season 4, Episode 3, watching the Roy kids desperately try to control their father's imminent death is a situation completely out of their control. It's truly heartbreaking, having spent their lives making decisions and controlling everything around them. Watching them in this free fall of a situation was a highlight of the show, if a bit of a traumatic one. Contrast this with Triangle of Sadness, which I found insufferable, and Glass Onion, which I enjoyed, however, suffered the same flaw. These two movies tackle the rich people are bad narrative for laughs, writing them to be unrealistically detached from society, void of any sympathetic or human qualities. The rich people in Triangle of Sadness are bad because... and we care about them because... I always think that the argument that some main characters are written to be unlikable is an irrelevant one, as you can't sympathize with them. Perhaps that's why I still enjoy Glass Onion, as you're not rooting for the rich people, it's Blanc and Andy who you're seeing the film through. So Succession perfectly rides that line of writing detached, rich characters by tackling them realistically, giving them insecurities and issues which we can still relate to.
There was no part of you that could just be like, hey, let's reschedule and move this because, you know, their dad just died and, you know.
My final point is about actually doing things goes a long way. Okay, this is sort of a broken record kind of argument here, but obviously CGI, green screens, and the volume are the go-to these days for a show in need of a unique environment. Succession really has no interest in that stuff, and 9 out of 10 times will go to the required location. We also see their helicopters in flight. There's a whole bloody take in Season 4 Episode 2 where the Roys try to board a helicopter that is taking off in front of them, and the camera moves between the characters and the helicopter as it flies off. It's a small thing, but actually showing these things practically goes a long way to grounding the show. And also, it goes without saying, but the show's shot on film, and man, does it look good for it. It's all class, and it assists with creating the grounded feel for the show I mentioned earlier. It's another way of grounding these out-of-touch characters. So hey, that's Succession, or Suck. And that's what TV can learn from it. I love this show. Let's put Greggy on the throne and call it a day, hey?
Stop! Security! Back off!
Like I said, my name is Aidan Green. I talk about films and TV all the bloody time, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I love Succession. I may do a final video at the end of the show just to, I don't know, talk about other sucky suck things about the suckiest sucky Succession show of all time. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time. I don't know what this outro was. I got a bit lost in all the sucks. Sucky, suck. Suck. That's the video.